Okay, welcome to the Town of Deerfield Select Board of Health Sewer Commissioners meeting for November 19th, 2025. The time is 6 p.m. I'll read this again. This is a hybrid meeting, both Zoom and in the main meeting room at 8 Conway Street, South Deerfield, Mass. This meeting will be held in a hybrid fashion with the opportunity for both in-person attendance and remote participation. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting or hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular any specific item on the agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance. The meeting will be held in person in the main meeting room of Deerfield Municipal Offices in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A. Anyone intending to record the meeting must identify themselves to the clerk and provide their name and address for the record. So I'll call the meeting to order. We have public comment, so anybody that wants to make a comment on anything that's on the agenda or otherwise, welcome to do so at this time. We could take public comment now. I think that's probably the best idea. If you have a public comment, we'll take that right now. Yeah, we're not deciding tonight, but sure.
I just wondered if we were able to.
Yeah, love to hear it now. That'd be great.
Right. Matt Tuttle, 1 Whately Road.
Welcome.
Hey, I'm here to voice my opposition to renewing the Treehouse Entertainment license as it currently stands. Oh, are you able to hear me?
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much.
All right. Without any conditions or limitations on the number of concerts or the decibel levels. I would like to thank Blake Gilmore for taking our concerns seriously previously, and visiting residents on concert nights to experience the issue firsthand. I would also like to thank Trevor for acknowledging during his visit to my property in the 2025 season that concerts were too loud. While they've emailed, called in noise complaints, and spoken with most of you directly throughout the 2025 concert series, I would like to again reiterate the...
Yep, go ahead. Yep, no worries. Yep.
I'm not anti-Treehouse, but I do not believe I should sacrifice the peace and quiet of my home so that they can increase their profits. During the spring 2025 meeting, Treehouse representatives assured concerned residents that there would be no increase in the number of concerts. Yet in 2024, Treehouse hosted concerts in the mid-20s, while the 2025 season increased to 33 or 34. All other residents and businesses in Deerfield are required to adhere to the town's noise ordinances. Treehouse, however, has been granted an exemption at the direct expense of their neighbors' quality of life. There's a noticeable difference in the noise pollution between opening acts and headlining acts. This indicates to me that Treehouse can address noise pollution concerns when they choose to, but is electing not to do so consistently. Treehouse has repeatedly stated that they have learned a lot about managing concert noise, but I've yet to see or hear any meaningful application of that knowledge. All that said, after reading the restrictions the Select Board plans to put in place to address these issues, I am concerned that because no baseline testing was performed during the 2025 concert season, we will find ourselves in the same situation during the 2026 season. Rather than adopting the 100 decibel limit suggested by the World Health Organization, why not require concerts to remain at the 80 decibel limits that all other residents and businesses are required to adhere to? Over the past 3 seasons, town officials have been unwilling to effectively regulate ongoing concert-related noise pollution. My concern is that the vague language, combined with Treehouse's deep pockets, will result in continued disruption to neighboring properties with fines that are easily absorbed and therefore have no meaningful impact on concert frequency or volume. I did not move next to a nuisance expecting it to change. Rather, a nuisance moved into our neighborhood, and the Select Board has given it free rein to impact its neighbors.
Thank you.
Can you give a copy of that to,
Yeah.
so we can
Absolutely.
Love to have a copy.
appreciate it?
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Any other comments? Any topic or this one or any other? So please, right, climb out. Yep, just have a seat and just state your name and address and yeah.
Sure. Vinny Russo, 5 Hillside.
Vinny, welcome.
The first comment was I wanted to know if Sue Patterson and Tammy Gaylord's letter would be read, because that will impact what my comment is, because the letter that she sent in, I agree 100% with, and I would only have a couple additional comments.
You're free to make any comment. I'm not sure we're reading everyone's letter tonight, so we're just starting the process. So if you would like to read anything or make a comment.
I can, if I may
Sure, please.
clarify that. It is in your packet,
Okay.
and we had put it. We can read it during the public comment. It was put on the correspondence because it was a correspondence,
Got it.
so it was to be read tonight. But
Okay.
it could be read during this time as well if the
Sure.
board,
Yep.
does.
All right. Well,
like that.
regardless of when it's read, I agree with what she wrote 100%. I couldn't have said it better.
Thank you.
I only had a couple small things to add to it.
Okay.
So people might not be aware, but there are 21 residences that have formed a group to discuss issues regarding Treehouse and the impact the noise levels have. Unlike what many people have propagated, the group isn't about trying to shut Treehouse down. That's disingenuous. The group is about trying to find solutions and to hold Treehouse to be good neighbors and to come up with solutions if issues arise. Just wanted to make sure that I clarified that because
Okay.
they're very clear. They don't want to shut Treehouse down.
Understood.
On a personal level, in August and September, we frequently had not only our windows rattle, but pictures on the wall rattle. And it wasn't constant. I mean, it's a concert. It was a lot of noise and then a little noise, a lot of noise, a little noise. You have to expect that. But it was so consistently loud that I frequently had to have the air conditioners on and the TV just to get even a little bit of reprieve. For the first time in my almost 60 years, I actually called in several noise complaints, and I've never done that. And it made me feel bad because I'm very pro-business. I own several businesses, but it just feels like there's no way to resolve that. In terms of the decibel level, I am disappointed that Treehouse wants to use the WHO recommendations because there are many WHO recommendations based on circumstances and which guidelines they're talking about. For instance, WHO specifically states in their guidelines, noise becomes harmful when it exceeds 75 decibels, and at 100 or 100 plus decibels, it is considered the level above which double hearing protection is required. And OSHA says that exposure to 85 or above decibels requires hearing protection, and 90 decibels or above, employers are required to implement hearing conservation programs. And then they go on to talk about anything more than that. The issue isn't that Treehouse is at these decibel levels for hours at a time constantly. It's how jarring it is, and there doesn't seem to be any way for residents who are negatively impacted to feel like they're being heard or resolve the issue.
Thank you.
My 2 cents.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. Any other comments, audience or online or? No,
Do you want to read it, or would you like, it's at
Oh.
the end, or I can?
I can read it when we get to that spot.
Okay.
I'll read it then.
I just.
Yeah.
wanted to clarify.
Sure. Okay, we moving on then, seeing no other public comment, we had a hearing, hopefully we were going to have a hearing from, or appearance by Senator Comerford, but she is pulled away to Boston. There have a bunch of votes coming up tonight that weren't scheduled far enough advance so that we could we didn't know about it enough, so we had to cancel her appearance tonight. She's voting on some important bills. It's the end of session, and there's also some funding bills that's important that she's in Boston to vote for those on behalf of us. So we'll look forward to seeing her another time when we reschedule. I know that she does have I saw an email from her today. She'll be having a town meeting. I want to say it's December 10th. I have that right? So we can get some information out if people would like to come to that town hall for her. So next item is select board reports and announcements. Is there anything anybody wants to hit on that?
Yeah, I went to the meeting last night, the board hearing for Jonathan, for what's it called?
FCAT?
FCAT.
Yep.
right.
Okay.
And it was very enlightening. They have a lot of things on their agenda, and I think one of the things he was asking was to make sure that the word got out that it was on January
Oh, nice.
17th is their 20th anniversary, and they're going to have a open house at the Sunderland Town Hall.
Fantastic. That sounds great.
So
Thank you. Oh, yes, that's right. So when you're done with this, jump onto the telethon and help Frontier if you can. Anything you want to hit on? No? I just want to take a quick moment to recognize the passing of a local businessman and local family member, Blake Gorey, who passed away this past week. And I know he very instrumental in helping the town. He owned Gorey Fabricators across the railroad tracks here and was instrumental in helping with his skills. I know a lot of times our DPW and our wastewater treatment plant, and I'm sure many other people, and just close ties to the community, and just want to extend the condolences from the select board and the town on his passing. I did also attend, maybe it was a week ago, a little more than a week ago, the Chapter 70 formula hearings that were taking place. The furthest one west in the state was at Greenfield High School auditorium, and many people were there. Our leaders were there, representatives, and many superintendents. Darius was there, along with other educators and people involved, and just decrying the fact that Chapter 70 formula is broken. Just the way it is formulated to fund education in the state's very difficult. It relies on, a huge part of it relies on income in the community, and yet we have no way to tap that. It's just a meaningless number. We only fund education through property taxes, so personal income really has nothing to do with it. But it is a large part of it. And then with the declining enrollment, it's just very difficult. So I'm grateful that that DESE is working on that, looking at it. We have a lot of testimony that was given, and we're hoping that meaningful change will come, and there'll be a rural factor along like the state had done with Chapter 90 and funding our roads. There is a rural factor that goes into the formula, so we're hoping to see some of that change. So good first step, and hope it keeps moving. Greg is also, in his capacity, has been working on a lot of things with education funding and regionalization. So I think that's it for me. Board of Health agent items. I've not heard from.
Yeah,
Ned
no,
this
I
week.
was just going to mention, so today Ned and actually Alex as well attended the opioid settlement fund webinar that MMA put on.
Okay.
So, the town of Deerfield at this point has over $100,000 in these settlement funds. I believe Valley Health Regional Collaborative had been working towards some kind of use of those funds collectively with other towns. Not exactly sure of the status of that, but,
Yeah.
we're just kind of restarting discussions around, how to use this money. I think a lot of communities are kind of struggling with how exactly can we spend this money and what's the best way to use it.
Right.
And so Ned's kind of helping spearhead that effort
Right.
so that we can put that money to good use in abating the opioid epidemic here in Deerfield.
Yeah, 100,000 sounds like a lot of money, but it goes pretty fast when you're trying to do something.
And hence the pooling with other communities to make
Makes
sure it actually has an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thank you. So we have some minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for November 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Any other?
Second.
Have a second. Thank you. Any comments on that? It looked pretty straightforward to me. So nice that they're just not even a week old, or maybe a week old. So all those in favor?
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
Trevor McDaniel, aye. Thank you. Okay, so discussion items. We have sewer rules and regulations. This is the first reading. You'll see in your packet are regulations for the sewer regulations, and we have had a group of incredibly smart people working on this for several months. We've been meeting regularly, Alex and Greg and Christopher and Matthew and Eric and I have been just kind of going over the draft regulations and then coming up with changes that we think are most important for Deerfield. And do you want to hit on anything? And
Yeah, sure. I would just say real high level. So, back in, I think it was 2022, when we adopted Chapter 150, which is our new sewer bylaw. That bylaw allows the sewer commissioners, i.e. the select board, to promulgate some regulations so that we can actually, be regulating our sewers and make sure, nothing bad is going in there, and that everyone's actually building pipes properly, et cetera. So Lisa Mead, our town council, provided some draft regulations. We've, obviously had some staff turnover, so we've just had the opportunity now that we've got a great team in place to actually revisit those regulations. And I just wanted to mention, we also had Kyle Bassett, our assistant, superintendent for the Department of Public Works, help out. He did a lot of work on the collection system in Montague, so his expertise is helpful here as well. A couple things I wanted to highlight. A lot of this is about allowing Matthew, as our superintendent of sewers, to be able to inspect and ensure that contractors and applicants are really, building these things to the proper specs.
Correct.
A couple pieces that we haven't gotten to yet, but that we hope to in future years. A full industrial discharge permit. So that's an issue that Eric Meals, our chief wastewater operator, and Matthew are both discussing. But ultimately, we want to make sure if you're doing business here in Deerfield, if you have some real serious stuff discharging from your business, that it's being pre-treated properly so that it doesn't have a negative impact on our treatment plant. And then a couple other things. I think we've been talking also about unmetered residences. So we do have a handful of residences that are on sewer. They don't have a water meter for whatever reason. Previously, it was just up to the water district basically to actually get them metered up. We are talking about implementing some kind of average bill for those houses. Just as a little nudge, hey, go out to the water district, get your meter, and make sure that you're actually paying for the services that you're receiving, which is just fair to all of the residents that already pay. But happy to entertain any questions from board members about any other issues. And just want to give certainly, Alex Galloway, our town planner, Matthew Morris, our superintendent, a shout out because they were, huge help in getting this to this point. And I guess the last thing I would say is just that, in future years, hopefully we'll kind of do this in lockstep with our rate hearing. So you'll get a notification in the newspaper and, on our website. And then we'll hold a hearing both for the rates and then also for any updates to the regulations. So that'll be how it works going forward.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it was, we had a meeting this week, and I was just super proud to be in the room with the people, and you can see the quality of questions and attention to detail they had on these regulations. They're complex. There's a lot of things that go into this, from digging in the ground and making sure the pipes are right to making sure the, the fines are correct and inspections are right and who's doing the inspections and who's overseeing what. So very collaborative effort, and I feel pretty comfortable where we're at, and I'm excited about the industrial discharge permit. So that's a lot of work that they're putting together, and that'll help a lot. Just having a good baseline of what businesses do what in town, and kind of we'll have a good baseline test of what BOD or load is coming out of that facility. So again, just a first read, just look through it. If there's anything you want to talk about, happy to chat offline, or we'll just kind of keep working.
And I
on
did
this.
just want to mention, so this is just a first reading tonight. Next week, we'll take another look at it and probably give it the thumbs up. And then it actually has to run in the newspaper a few weeks before it goes into effect. So likely this will be effective January 1st of 2026.
Perfect.
So just to clarify, we'll take this up at our next select board meeting,
Yeah, for adoption. Yep.
and that'll be in December.
December 3rd. Yep.
And these allow us from time to time to adjust these regulations. It's not something that has to go to the legislature, and
Right.
so it frees up the town to respond if some unforeseen problem arises with something. So
Exactly. And it does, and at even more kind of minute level, it does give the superintendent of sewers some discretion in certain areas as well.
Right. Yep. It's great work. So
Great.
thank you all very
Thank you.
much. Really appreciate the attention to detail on that. So next item is a vote on the Kuhn-Riddle contract amendment in the amount of $55,000 for the 1888 building project. Do you want to hit on a quick update of what that's about and
Sure.
just some extra work that they're working?
Yeah, so we contracted with Kuhn-Riddle for a first phase of the project back in, I believe it was August of 2024. And they developed some preliminary plans. We got town meeting approval to, spend CPA funds on the project and move forward with their final design. Since then, obviously, we had bids come in very low, luckily, and we've been working with WJ Mountford, the general contractor, and Kuhn-Riddle as that project obviously moves forward next door. And so this contract amendment is about just a couple things. One, they had to do a slight redesign of the elevator based on the elevator that the general contractor selected. We didn't get any sub bids on the elevator, so it was essentially, that meant the general contractor got to basically pick, what they were going to do. And so there's a slight redesign fee in there. We had not yet contracted for FF&E, so furnitures, fixtures, and equipment. So now this contract amendment includes those services for Kuhn-Riddle, so they'll help us pick the furniture, so to speak, and the color of the couches and all that. And then also, just overall, I think Charles Roberts, who's the principal for Kuhn-Riddle, would just say, the project is fairly complex given the historic component and the new addition next to it. So there's a little additional funding in there just to compensate them for the serious construction administration they're doing right now, and then all the hard work they did during the bidding phase of this project. And Tim, I don't know if you have anything you want to add on the project.
well, one of the things that before you open up walls, you don't know what's behind them, and there were some unexpected surprises. Load-bearing components of the original building were no longer in place, and the framing around the stairwells was also something that they were unaware that they would have to redesign. So it just recognizes that Kuhn-Riddle's been doing a good job for the town, and they've designed a great project. And going forward, actually, they were willing to forego their architectural design fee. It was really a $10,000 change, but they decided not to take their $5,000 fee in recognition of wanting to keep a collaborative atmosphere on the project. So
I'm excited. It's going to look great. I'm really, really happy to get in there and start picking furniture. Great. I mean, I'd love to attend some of the meetings when it gets close to kind of figuring out that the meeting room, how we'll set that up, the equipment that'll be in there, that kind of thing. Something I've always wanted in this space, but knowing that we weren't going to stay here didn't make sense to do. But I just think, making sure that we invest in a good, get rid of the cloth. I'm always, just kicking this mic thing all the time. A good plan of layout in there would be really good. So,
Yeah, and I gotta say, Greg's expertise with AV has been excellent in this area. So he's been working closely with Valley Communications off the state contract to design a really top-notch AV system for that meeting room. So people won't be yelling at us to talk into our mics, so it should be a better experience for everyone.
That'll be great. So let's see. I would, and the amount is 55,000, right? The change.
Correct. Yeah, and that's I'm gonna say it wrong now, but it's 5,000 for the elevator,
Yep.
and 15,000 for the FF&E, and then the rest is for sort of the
Design.
additional complexity in the design. Yep.
Okay. So make a motion to approve the contract amendment in the amount of 55,000 for Kuhn Riddle Architect for the 1888 building project.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye.
Trevor McDaniel, aye. Okay, so discussion of the Treehouse Brewing Company entertainment license, letters from residents regarding the noise. I guess I will read the letter pointed out.
Yeah, it's way at the back of the packet
Yep.
there.
I think I got it here. This is from Suzanne Patterson, correct? Yep. Okay. So Treehouse Brewing, the Treehouse Brewing Entertainment License meeting for 11/19/2025. We have lived in South Deerfield on Jackson Road since May 2002 and own 2 properties on Jackson. We are not anti-economic development of South Deerfield, and the surrounding communities have retired from careers in real estate and financial services. We're excited about Treehouse coming to our community, enjoying their products, entertaining out-of-town family and guests at the Treehouse. However, the noise emitted from most of their outdoor concerts and events is negatively impacting the quality of our life. We can no longer enjoy sitting outside on our patio during most concerts due to the extreme loud volume of the music, especially the obnoxious bass tones, and having to retreat inside of our home, closing all windows and cranking the volume of our TV to mask the noise is not a solution. There's an old legal saying that one cannot complain if they move to a nuisance, but this situation is reverse and the nuisance has moved to us. Instead of just complaining, we want to find a solution that works for all parties. As we know that Treehouse desires to be a good neighbor, here are our suggestions. 1, hire an independent professional sound engineers to monitor the volume of the concerts during the duration of a concert, making the appropriate adjustments to lower the volume and emit the obnoxious bass tones. Create a list of neighbors who will allow the sound engineers to come to their property to observe and record firsthand the levels of sound coming at them from the concerts. We will happily entertain these engineers to visit our properties. 3, construct a full sound absorbing bandstand, which will also enhance the concert goer's experience. 4, add acoustic sound absorbing panels around the property. Under no circumstances should there be any increase in the number of concerts and events until the noise situation is resolved to the neighbor's satisfaction. As longtime residents, we are respectfully pleading with our elected representatives and Treehouse management to solve the noise problem which is affecting our property as well as our mental and physical health. Sincerely, Sue Patterson, Tammy Gaylor, Jackson Road, South Deerfield, Mass. And so I think, was that the only thing we had? Just the letter that
We had the letter, and we just obviously want to start the conversation. So this entertainment license the Treehouse Brewing Company has, needs to be renewed or rejected or something before January 1st of this year. So in the past we had talked about making amendments to the entertainment license. I know we did a couple of years ago when they proposed going to a higher occupancy threshold. That's when the emergency action planning really kicked in.
Correct.
And I know there continues to be conversations between public safety and Treehouse on that subject. So this is really just a first kind of opportunity to discuss it. We'll have at least 2 more meetings in 2025. And Greg and I did meet with a representative from Treehouse today just to give them a heads up, and then also talk about some potential low-hanging fruit with that we've identified to maybe address some of the noise issues. And Greg, I don't know if you want to speak to any of that or not tonight, but certainly just wanted to put it out there again because the license has to be renewed before January 1.
Yeah. And we definitely want to leave plenty of time to do that. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, I can add. I mean, I put some proposed conditions in there. They're just suggestions, and actually they came from the 3 of you, I think, at different times and in conversations. And so it's just to bring them back to refresh your memory. I will say the WHO recommendation was mine, and the reason I put it out there was because they are the foremost experts in sound and health, and that report gives you at least the expertise in terms of how sound is measured. So if it's okay, I can respond to some of the comments made. I think it's not a bad idea to have a sound engineer take readings in a way that is actually professionally done, because I kind of wonder if they have been done professionally,
Right.
because you can't just take it with a decibel meter off your phone or something like that. Those aren't appropriate measurement devices. So you need a specific type of device, which is a more professional device. And it records in what they call a sort of broadband. It's sort of an average decibel level. And one of the things we brought up was because bass frequencies tend to propagate along the ground and they go in all directions, so they're omnidirectional, they can build up in different locations. And so one of the things we proposed, we're going to talk with Klondike. Part of what went on was Allison left, and so they're getting a new government liaison in.
Correct.
And so that's kind of slowed down some of the discussions. But we are going to have a conversation with them about, how difficult is it to fly the subwoofers, because that gets them off the ground and it allows the bass to be at least a little more directional towards the ground at an angle, which can help in terms of sort of keeping those bass frequencies from propagating along the ground. So
Correct.
that's, and it's actually recommended in the WHO that it's a better listening environment. So we'll see. I don't know what, I'm not a PA expert. My expertise is in sound recording, but I understand sound. So I'm kind of curious as to see, what, if any, concerns they may have in terms of when they're doing amplification. So, but that is going to be scheduled in the next week or 2.
Okay, good.
With Treehouse, because they would like to, also hear about that. They're open to that. So those are, some of the things that we talked about today, and you can look at these proposals and, sort of mull them over. I think it's important that we have also Treehouse to be able to be a part of the discussion in an open meeting so that they can respond as well. So I think that they're looking at either, your next 2 meetings, the 3rd or the 17th.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think it's a hard subject because it's not like there's not an easy answer, and it's not like, oh, you just do this, short of not having concerts, which I don't think is the answer either, and I don't think that's what the advocates are asking for either. But there has to be a way to make it so not so unbearable that it's it's just uncomfortable to listen to, uncomfortable to live around. So I don't think there's ever going to be this perfect solution, but I think we need to continually get better and better at it. And and there has to be issues around scheduling. I was very serious about not holding them the first night of the school or during that time, and that was ignored last year. So um, I'm going to be very serious about that this year and the way their schedule is and how many concerts they have at specific times. So I'm also curious, talking with our attorneys, what leeway we have and what leeway we don't have, because it's not just we don't just make all the rules. You have to follow the law as well. They have a specific district, entertainment district, that has different rules than anybody else in town. And the reason we did that was to get economic development into the town. But it does, that comes with difficult conversations and different issues that you think you can manage, but not always super easy. So I look forward to continuing these discussions to make sure that we can be very clear and serious about what we're asking them to do and make sure that it gets done, while recognizing there's no perfect solution. And I'm sure there will still be concerts that are too loud for some people. It's just, there's not an easy answer, but there has to be an improvement, a significant improvement to the people that have serious concerns need to get done. So
So I have some questions about what our legal rights are. Is it possible to issue a temporary license, or when the license has to be renewed, if we haven't satisfactorily got an agreement with Treehouse that we feel is forward-looking and respectful of the residents, do we just not? I mean, I guess this is a question I need to understand. Can we say, we're going to give you a temporary license so you can continue to operate through January, but we need to make progress on these things? And can we do a temporary for February until we actually get a satisfactory agreement? Because one of the problems with this is the same band played 2 nights in a row. One night it was very disruptive, and the next night it wasn't at the same places in town. And if Treehouse is not paying for monitoring, they're not going to learn. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we've been repeatedly told by Treehouse is, oh, we're willing to work on this. And they have made changes, but they haven't monitored to find out what the effect of those changes were. So without an effective monitoring component, we're just guessing. And so, we need to know what our rights are as a town vis-a-vis this entertainment district. And if we need to revisit what the entertainment district allows, because it has to encompass the whole district, it can't be aimed at any one party.
Correct.
We need to do that because we can continue to talk about this for 5 years, but unless some of these things happen, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, and I would just mention we'll certainly have council present for the 3rd or the 17th, whichever meeting we end up, if we end up discussing at both meetings.
The other thing I will say too is that I had no idea how many concerts were going to happen last year, because effectively what Treehouse has told us is we don't know in advance. So it comes as a surprise when they start out with 12 that they've booked, and then it ends up being 30. And, we've told them that we don't want these things happening during school time, but there were several in school time. So these things at a minimum need to be addressed. Concerts in school time, no. Maybe Friday night, maybe Saturday night in the school,
Right.
but not Tuesday, not Thursday.
Right.
So,
And I know, I agree with that. And I think, some of the feedback that we heard is really, as much as people think it's a huge moneymaker, it is not a huge moneymaker. It does drive business, and obviously they wouldn't do it if it wasn't profitable. And they've tried to refine it over the time. But there is the reason they're able to get these bands is because they get a midweek when they're traveling from their more expensive venues. So they're kind of going to Albany, and they'll swing by on a Thursday and do a show because they can pick it up. It's cheaper for Treehouse to get that in there and make the whole economics of having a concert worthwhile once you pay for all the police detailing, everything that goes around paying the band and all the things that we can imagine cost to put a concert on. And really they're getting ticket price for sure, but they're selling the beer. So it's a balance. It isn't a massive moneymaker. So there's this, it's kind of having that conversation on what makes economic sense. And then, it will cost more to do them on a weekend through that school time. But we feel like, I feel like the parents have kids trying to get the kids to bed, and it's super rocking loud at 10 o'clock or 9:30 even, 9 o'clock when you're trying to get the kids to school. So I am aware of the economics of it. So I don't, not naive that it's difficult to balance all of that. So I just want to definitely have that more in-depth conversation with them about, like, how do we make it work for everybody? Because, 90% of the people are thrilled every night there's a concert, but there are people that live here right next door that are not thrilled in the least. And there's got to be a way to make that, make it more comfortable for them, for sure.
Well, also the time was brought up on this, and I think that some of those concerts ended at 9:30 at night, and there was no ramification for that. I mean, setting that time limit might be a better thing, because you get people that are trying to get to bed early and that sort of thing. And the other part of it is, like I said, or that's already been said, is that somebody should be monitoring the volume of those concerts. And it was brought up tonight was the fact that the starting acts didn't cause a problem. It was the main acts that started the problem, and they go on later, and that's part of what we're trying to deal with. So I don't understand why we can't have the main act at the same level as what the starting act is, to make sure that stays. And again, we're not going to be 100% on this, but we can get as close to it as we possibly can, as far as that goes. But I mean, the restraints are going to have to be put in place, because again, we're here for the people in Deerfield, and we need to make sure that they're, like I said, you got working people that are being disrupted. And when you hear somebody say, I can't watch the football game because the noise is too loud, and those are things that, it comes back to us, and it's got to be done. And the other part of it is, which has been said, this, I'm going to say it the third time, should be no concerts on a school night, period. And that's where I come from with that.
And just one other thing, I just want to say that the town is responsible for setting laws and setting conditions for businesses to operate here. We're not responsible for those businesses' profit margins.
Correct.
So if it costs them money to have a concert and they have to pay for monitoring in order to make it a viable business, then that's what they have to do. It's been said that, people don't, we're only listening to Treehouse. Well, that's not true. I'm not listening to Treehouse. What I want Treehouse to do is to be a responsible neighbor, and I want to have some say in what that means. And if it means you have to come up with a different way of doing your concerts, then that's what they have to do. If they're not making money, then why are they having the concerts? So, I mean, I buy Treehouse products. I don't drink a lot of beer, but they make a good product. They make a good pizza. When they're not having concerts, most people are happy for them to be here. So we just need to figure out, what are we legally able to do, and what are they willing to do to meet the needs of the residents whose lives are being impacted by this. But I'm not responsible for their profits.
Okay. Well, we'll continue the conversation. Keep rolling on. We got more items to deal with here. So we have a South County Senior Center intermunicipal agreement revision. The Board of Oversight, which I also sit on, has been working for the last, let's say, year or more on kind of just updating the language of the agreement. It's 15 years old or something like that. It's been around a long time, and so we just kind of updated a few different things. And I guess the main item is we wanted to, let me back up. When we originally had this agreement, we were in the 1888 building, and there was just like, oh, here's a spot seniors can be for now. And the structure of how we paid for things was kind of like a quick agreement. Like, we'll, all three towns put in for the operations budget, but Deerfield's kind of stuck with dealing with the building, and now we're in a lot of different spaces. We lease spaces. It's just a different animal at this time. So, and the split was just like 50% Deerfield, 25% Whately, 25% Sunderland, and we just felt like we should do the cost sharing similar to how we would do the schools. It's really based on population and a 5-year rolling average. So we didn't have just giant swings each year of like, oh, there's 30 more people from Whately this year and 10 from just wanted to get a rolling average. So a lot of that came down to population of people over 55 in a community, and then over 60 and older. So the annual budget apportionment costs each member town share of the net budget of the senior center shall be proportional to each member town's senior population age 60 and older, according to the most recent federal census for each town. And we looked at like all the different census times, and it really works out to about, I forget what the number was exactly, 52% Deerfield. Like Whately was a bit lower, Sunderland was a bit higher than the 25. So that's kind of one of the changes we had made. Oh, I see Jen here, and she's
Yeah.
Well,
So just to clarify, we went through data back about 30 years for federal census data, back to or almost back to 1990. We were trying to go back further, but we couldn't. So the percentage wise, Deerfield would be at 54%. I believe Sunderland would be at 28.7%, and Whately would be somewhere around 18%, moving into fiscal year 27. And that's in not just with the federal census, but it basically coincides with our analytical data that we've been tracking for the My Senior Center, as well as to how many people have been coming. So it really coincides and is fluid with consistent with that. And then I believe in the original agreement, it said that the IMA was supposed to be reviewed every 10 years or so, and it's been 15 since it was executed the last time. And we are using federal census data, and so that's consistent for 10 years, and the trend with the population in all three towns moving forward, it's going to be consistent with that until we get the next federal census data in 2030. And just be mindful, you usually don't get the data until about 3 years into the next 3 years after the receipt of the federal census data. So once it's completed in 2030, you won't get it till about 3 years later.
Thank you. The other area that we changed the Board of Oversight, and we're trying to kind of group in some of the active members of the community, so it isn't just the Board of Oversight. So the Board of Oversight shall compose of one member of the Select Board of each member town or their designee. In addition, each Select Board shall appoint one active senior center member from their town to the board in an advisory capacity. So we really are trying to foster more of the seniors to take an active role in the governance of the body, and they'd be an advisory role. But a lot of all the boom members are working or away and not at the senior center all the time. We're very involved and we have meetings all the time, but and Jen keeps us up to date on everything going on, but we're not there every day. So we're looking to bring in and appoint an active member from each community to sit at the table with us and make these decisions and kind of take a vested interest in the direction of the senior center. So it was really that and the annual budget apportionment. We went through all the other stuff, but not
We
much
did.
really needed to
Yeah. And we've been, Whately sent this to their legal counsel back in June, and we've been waiting for a response, and we finally got one. And the big key phrase, though, and I just want to bring up, the reason we're putting in there, or it was agreed upon by the BOO, with my suggestion that there's an active senior or person who comes to center, because on some of the COAs, there are members who are appointed who never step foot in the center. So I think it's really important that those who are engaged and attend activities on a regular basis really have a voice as to what they would like to see.
Yeah. In a lot of towns, the COA, we say COA, it's Council on Aging. That's generally where the funding comes from the states to Council on Aging, comes to the towns and then put through into a program. And in many towns, it's different in all kinds of towns. Some towns are very active COAs and they're involved in making decisions and all of that kind of thing. And in our community, we've struggled a little bit to get enough people kind of on a COA and making recommendations because we're 3 towns. You've got all these members together, and it's just been difficult. So we thought this would be a great way to have the people who come to the meetings, are involved in the discussions, are at the senior center, have a seat at the table to advise us on some of the decisions being made. So that's pretty much it. So I don't know if we want to think about this for a week or vote on it next time, or if you want to take a vote tonight. I'm open to anything, or if you want to review it about it.
I can tell you that I was just on Wheatley's and they voted to approve theirs. So
Yeah.
just so you're aware.
And you want to take a
I'd like to
week
look
go?
at this a
Okay.
little bit better.
I agree.
Yep. Okay.
And I just have one question. Jen, does this reflect the attendance as well? Is that Deerfield has the higher people attending and then Sunderland and then Whately, or does that not come into
Yep,
play
that's
at all?
accurate. And not just with attendance, but with population as well. Deerfield has 1,639, Sunderland has 844, and Whately has 544 based on the 2020 census. And the percentages with the number of members, it runs the same. Deerfield has more than Sunderland, and then Whately's lower. And then, we do have the surrounding communities, but as I mentioned previously, our seniors like to senior center hop too based on programs, so it's hard to collect money from other communities for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is just a peripheral related to senior center activity. I know that EDM has done a study of the Sunderland property, and they looked at this building, but I didn't get very detailed information about this building. So I'd like to ask Christopher Dunn to go back to EDM and ask them specifically, what is the minimum amount of work that needs to be done on this building to make it a viable alternative for future senior center programming?
That information was given out in the handouts.
There's a one-page document, Jennifer, on this building, and it has a large number, but there's a lot of variation on what was done on Sunderland, and I'd like to see a similar approach to this building, which says for $2 million you can do this, for $4 million you can do that, and for $8 million, which is the only number I saw about this building, you can do X, Y, and Z. So I think there might be some money left with EDM that they could do a little more work. I'd certainly like to see that.
Yeah, and Chris Wanty from EDM Studio and I have been kind of playing phone tag over the last few days. So certainly when we connect, we can talk about, what remaining fee they have. And, if we want to look at a revised scope for this building, certainly an option that we could discuss.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that.
All right. Well, we'll put this off to the next meeting on the 3rd.
Yep. So we'll reconvene on the IMA on the 3rd.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, so there's a letter of support for the Old Deerfield Cemetery Association gravestone restoration at Laurel Hill Cemetery Community Preservation Fund application. I thought we did this last week, or is this another one that's different? We just goes back. Is this a different one? No, I can't remember the other.
The other one, I think, was
Yeah, this is for a different one.
Different cemetery.
Yeah,
Okay.
they apologized. They actually wanted them both to be on the same meeting. So
gotcha.
they said, could you please put it on the next one so that we can get a letter of recommendation?
That's fine.
So they send their apologies, but hopeful that you'll support it like you did in the last one.
Okay. Yeah, this letter, so this is a letter of Deerfield Community Preservation Committee. This letter affirms the Select Board support for the Old Deerfield Cemetery Association's pending CPA funding application, Laurel Hill Cemetery Historical Gravestone Preservation for $4,984. The Select Board appreciates that this project follows up larger conservation work completed in 2014, privately funded, and 2020, which was a 50-50 combination of private and CPA funds. The Select Board understands that Old Deerfield Cemetery Association's request covers direct costs associated with the repair of damaged historical gravestones and cleaning of many other historical gravestones threatened by grime buildup and extensive mildew, mold, lichen growth. The Select Board acknowledges and thanks the ODCA for its ongoing stewardship of Laurel Hill Cemetery, including its wall, fence, and tree projects that will cost over $50,000 during the 2024-2026 time period. The Select Board joins Deerfield Historical Commission in supporting the current phase of historical gravestone conservation at Laurel Hill Cemetery. Sincerely, Trevor McDaniel, Select Board Chair, and maybe all the board members would be great. Yep. Select Board. Motion to approve the letter.
Second.
All those in favor?
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye.
Trevor McDaniel, aye. So there's a method to the madness. Thank you, Tim. Okay, the Energy Conservation Committee Decarbonization Roadmap Assistance Application, Letter of Support and Certification of Applications. So this is coming off the heels of town meeting. And this is a request for funding for a grant, decarbonization planning assistance grant application. Let's think about this a second and read it over. So I know we applied before, correct? And this is another application, and this would this was kind of help the town lay out a roadmap to try to eliminate on-site fossil fuel use by 2050, based on our vote we just had. And this is a request to do that. So the letter states, this is the director of the Green Communities Program. The town of Deerfield is pleased to apply for technical assistance to create a decarbonization roadmap in preparation of becoming a designated climate leader community. Deerfield became a green community in 2011, and we look forward to continuing our efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in our municipal buildings, schools, vehicle fleet, and within the community. Deerfield recently made the commitment to eliminate on-site fossil fuel use by 2050. Both the Finance Committee and our Capital Improvement Planning Committee have made a commitment to extend their long-range plans in order to better anticipate future costs. This technical assistance will assist them in their efforts and build bridges with their communities. By submitting this application, the town of Deerfield acknowledges that we are seeking to meet the other climate leader requirements within a year of technical assistance award. The town of Deerfield looks forward to continuing to work with the with the Department of Energy Resources. Sincerely, Trevor McDaniel, Chair of the Deerfield Select Board. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I'd like to see if we could waive this till the next meeting as well. I want to look into this a little bit more than what's here. I just want to know where this is going to lead us to.
Okay. What do you know what the deadline is for the grant application? Do we know? Let me just see what it says. No.
Yeah, I'm happy to push this to the next meeting.
Yeah, I just want
I will say that I
the date.
had suggested some editing to this letter.
to the letter.
To the letter, and for whatever reason, it didn't get.
Okay.
I don't know if the edits would be acceptable to this commission.
Okay.
That they were to, soften the language about, what we were committing to.
Okay.
So.
Yep.
Um,
So a little bit more work on the letter, and then just love to know when the dates are for the thing.
Well, we went through this once before. We agreed to do this. We sent a letter.
Yeah.
And we had only achieved 3 of the 6 things that they wanted us to achieve.
We've achieved a couple more.
Yeah, well,
one more.
town meeting approved the decarbonization, and this is
Yeah.
directed at decarbonization. So
Yeah. It's worth trying.
it certainly seems logical to ask the state to pay for a plan to decarbonize. If
To meet their
their
goals.
goal is to decarbonize municipal buildings, then
Right.
they should offer the technical assistance that says this is what you need to do and this is how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm in favor of
Sure.
getting the technical assistance.
Agreed.
What we do with it afterwards is, of course,
Yeah.
subject to future boards, et cetera.
Absolutely. But it would
And
help to
economic,
understand
yeah,
what the roadmap would be, what we would need to do.
because otherwise we're flying blind.
Correct. Yeah, you would have no idea.
So if I may, I'll just mention that in M.A. Sweetland's original email with these materials, she did mention that the deadline to email the application is November 28th. So that's next Friday. We do not have a meeting scheduled till December 3rd. Of course, we could meet before that. We could meet on Monday.
Yeah.
Would that give you some time to look into it, Blake?
Yep.
Okay.
It'd be a short meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One item
Take a look
meeting.
and- They'll always sneak
They
something
are.
else in.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to, work. with it
And then we
language or
can
whatever.
we can make sure we have the right copy of the letter in front of
Yeah.
everyone as well.
Okay, that sounds great. We'll do that. Moving on, so hold that. Sure. So we have some board committee applications and general appointments, resignations. So these, I think, are appointments. So A is Zachary Pelletier, operator in training for the DPW, full-time at $21.90 per hour. I think there was something in here, right?
Did you see anything?
I thought there was something here from Matt on this. Yeah,
It'd be an 8.
well, let's see. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Zachary Pelletier has been hired as an operator in training for the Deerfield Department of Public Works. His anticipated start date will be Monday, November 24th, 2025. He will be a full-time employee scheduled for 40-hour a week. Pay rate will be $21.90 per hour, grade B, step 4. Mr. Pelletier will be on the select board agenda tonight. Yep. His onboarding paperwork can be scheduled to fit your availability. Great. So that's good. So motion to appoint. Generally, do we need to vote hires?
Yep. You got to appoint him.
We have to appoint them.
Really? Okay.
We do
So
it for all the police officers.
I guess we do. I didn't think we appointed. All right.
And,
So
and I will say, Matthew also sent me a couple more details about his bio if you want to hear anything
I
more
would
about
love
him. Sure. Yeah. He lives in Springfield. He has relatives in Greenfield, however,
Yep.
and he's considering moving back up this direction. He's been working as a contractor, a state contractor on transportation projects. He also owns his own auto repair shop, so definitely a lot of great experience there.
Yeah.
So
Great.
seems really knowledgeable and eager and great with repairs. So exciting addition to the team.
sounds good. I'll make a motion to appoint Zachary Pelletier, operator in training for the DPW.
Second.
Any further discussion? Yep. Go
Was
ahead.
there anybody local that we could have gotten in for this position, or has he been looking around at this for a while?
Well, I believe the position has been posted since August, I think.
Okay.
So
All right.
Trust Matthew's judgment. If he thinks he's good fit for Deerfield, I'm
Yep.
happy for that. All those in favor?
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye.
Trevor McDaniel, aye. And then Jeffrey Spencer Brown is looking to be appointed to the Deerfield Historical Commission, to the Select Board effective immediately. Oh, this is, first we'll take the resignation of Ben Benson, I think, from the Deerfield Historical Commission's representative to the Community Preservation Committee. At a regular meeting on November 10th, I nominated Jeffrey Brown to serve as the Deerfield Historical Commission's representative to the CPC. was approved by all members, so I ask that you confirm him to this position in your earliest convenience from Ben Benson. So I'll make a motion to approve Jeffrey Brown to serve as Deerfield Historical Committee's representative to the CPC.
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? All those in favor?
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye.
McDaniel, aye. Thank you very much. So we've got the correspondence we've read already. Any other items you want to hit on?
Just wanted to check in and see if the select board had any questions on any ongoing projects. I did want to mention we had the personnel board meeting on Monday evening, just to talk over a couple issues that have come up. Pete Law was there to advocate for full-time, or excuse me, I shouldn't say full-time, but building a conservation agent position into the operating budget. Obviously, we've had Eve Coles working as our conservation agent, just on a pilot basis for the last few months. So that question is going to be discussed a little bit further next month on December 15th. And then obviously would go before Select Board and Finance Committee for budget discussion purposes. And then additionally, I did want to mention on December 15th, we're going to be doing our class comp plan and recommendations with COLA. It's been a little interesting this year because
Good luck.
yeah, for a number of reasons. One, I will say, actually, the government shutdown has been interesting in that we haven't had consumer price index data for a few months. So, so we believe it's at least a 3% increase. Whether or not the town will have the funds to make that COLA a reality for everyone is another question. But did want to highlight that meeting is coming up. And then also we'll be discussing some personnel manual updates. I know SCEMS is interested in making some adjustments. Obviously, very different organization
Was gonna ask
from
about that.
from what most most of the employees who are under the personnel manual.
Yeah.
It's just a very different organization. So
I was wondering, that was my question. Had they made any progress on that?
yep. So I did meet with Chief Sparks. He had a few written suggestions. And unfortunately, he just wasn't available to actually make the meeting this week. So he's out of town. So we're going to have him come before the personnel board on the 15th.
Okay, good. I know that when I talked with them before, and I mentioned to you just for the public that, being an EMT or paramedic is just a wholly different job, and that you're exposed to sickness so much more. And then if you take a sick day, you're taking like 24 hours because your shifts are 24 hours. So it's different than, if you're working at a desk and you get a sick day, you're off for 8 hours. But here they're affected. And if they're out for a couple of days with an illness, and they're around illness all the time. So I just think the structure around their sick time and time off just needs to be evaluated for sure. So,
Right.
Great.
Yeah. And then just reiterate if the board members have any questions on ongoing projects. I know we've also got Alex here tonight, so any of her stuff, I know. Reiterate how excited we are to have that $1 million grant for for Mass Works for Elm Street. So,
Also, just we're having a town common committee meeting. Balloons go off. We're so excited. Yeah, tomorrow. So we're ramping that back up to talk about kind of where we're at, what we still need to gather. But with the Elm Street project, hopefully a new building on the corner of where the old Cummings building was, and there's just a lot happening downtown. So it's a good time to kind of talk about what we can do there, and hopefully some updates on the asset management plan for pipes and stuff in the ground. So really excited to do that tomorrow. See everybody again, get moving on that. So any other business?
A couple of questions I wanted to ask Alex. This town common meeting and the Elm Street project, we want to just check in on how much Mass dot involvement there will be in the Cumbies. The last thing I'd like to see is have us do all this Elm Street work, and then the Cumbies project come along, and then they cut up the tar because we didn't plan ahead. So, and also to get MassDOT interested in finishing paving the rest of Sugarloaf Street, where they stopped, quite a bit of distance away from the Cumbies. So, what are your thoughts on trying to engage with them?
Well, we've been pushing our consultants, DPC, who are doing our sewer asset management plan, because I think that unknown number or quality of our infrastructure is going to be also huge. Probably, potentially more costly than just resurfacing all of the rest of Sugarloaf. It's a much shorter distance.
Right.
So I'm hoping they'll be able to get us some of that data in early January or February, hopefully.
Sure, hopefully.
I know they've pretty much done all the surveying work and cameraing. I think it's a lot of the assessment and analytics and final reporting that we're kind of waiting on. So hopefully, as soon as they give us even a relative date that we have that data and we get a chance to talk, I think we get on MassDOT's calendar as soon as possible and really get that going. But I think Two Sugarloaf will probably be well advanced in their construction work before ours.
Yeah. And I think, just grouping in Natalie and Joe to those meetings with DOT, they've been instrumental all the way through on that. So it's very good.
Is there a lot of the Cumbies project? It's going to be tying into the sewer because they're going to be new buildings, right? So, is there a lot of subsurface work involved with that project?
Well, I think there will be to some degree. I don't know that they've finished all of their engineering site plan review. It's mostly above, ground kind of engineering that they've done. We did ask them to really look into that and stormwater also, because that's going to be kind of an issue, but they've put in swales and they are being thoughtful. They understand they have to work with MassDOT for any, intrusions on that Sugarloaf side, but predominantly they're not gonna put any entrances to the building, at least on that side. So hopefully that reduces some of the congestion and reduces some of the permitting stuff they'll need for driveway entries or traffic analyses in that sense. So I'm not sure, but I can check.
Great.
Ask them.
Thank you.
Actually, one thing, and we talked about this afternoon, but I was just wondering if there's any chance that we could be looking at other avenues for parking over there in between that and Elm Street and losing some spaces over there. I know that the Leary lot's going to be a big asset, but I'm just wondering about the other side of the street, if there's anything that's available, or we should be looking to see if something becomes available to get some more parking over there.
On the other side of Elm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've got a fair number of people here tonight, so I would just say use the Leary lot. It's a brand new, beautiful parking lot, and I'd love to see people using it more. But Blake, to your point, I know also, just talking to Matthew, talking to Chief Pachurik, the town actually owns that parcel next to the railroad, and it's kind of been informal parking for years. It's really scrubby and needs some work.
Yeah.
We've talked about building that into this project as an adult or something as well, because, the people are really going to see the value of the Leary lot during this Elm Street project, because of course there is going to be disruption of parking. So, I would just say it again, use the Leary lot.
Yeah. And I agree to develop Railroad Street would be excellent for parking there, at least a few more spots.
Right.
I had one question out of the box. I see Chris Harris. Welcome. How are you? Good to see you. Did we ever get an answer on the painting, or is that still in the church? Or, I just saw you there and thought, jogged my memory, and we were trying to move some sort of painting somewhere. I know where.
Yeah, we're still working on that, and some recent developments, and we're working with PVMA on that also. They were tied up with their craft fair most recently.
For sure. Okay, just great. Just saw you and wanted to say hi, and then thought about that question. So,
Thank you.
Good. Yep. Good to see you. Any further items? We're good.
Just mentioned something. I just wanted to say we did increase the pricing rule for the EV chargers, and we've already seen a pretty significant increase in our revenue. So,
Can we do it again?
Yeah, it's up to you. No, but the one thing though, and maybe Tim, you know a little bit more about this, which is I don't know if when it gets colder, are vehicles finding it slower to charge? Is it a lower kilowatt transfer? I had someone call today. I'm just asking because I think you know more about this.
There are two things going on. Most more recent EVs have a battery management system that says if you're low, it preconditions the battery to accept fast charging. If somebody drives in and they just got into their EV and 30 seconds later they plug in, the EV charger has to, the battery has to go through this preparation process while it's charging, so it can be slower. And I will say that on Montpelier, Vermont, when I was driving up to Montreal this weekend, it was 36 cents a kilowatt hour for a level 3. So I think we picked a good spot to be at, 50 cents.
Yeah.
It's not onerous, but as long as we're covering and making a little profit on these EV chargers, I think it's a win for everyone. So
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And Alex is just reminding me one last thing to mention is we do have an RFP out there, the long-awaited Jewett Ave Barn RFP.
Oh, yeah.
So this is essentially surplus property that the town has held
Yep.
since the days of Oxford Pickle, I think.
That's right. That's right.
So, I believe we're accepting responses on that till mid-December, December 8th, rather.
Okay.
So just wanted to mention that RFP is out there, and
Perfect.
FERCog is helping us out with procurement, so the bids are all on their website as well.
Excellent. Sounds
There's quite
good.
a few of them.
Yeah, quite a few bids.
You saw the list today. I didn't go
Wow.
through it.
All right.
I saw the list.
Yeah, we don't have any proposals at this point, but we do have a list of plan holders, i.e. people who are interested and want to be updated. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Okay.
Bidding war.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
second.
Just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. If we don't see you before that, hope you enjoy your families, enjoy some downtime and turkey. Oh, thank you. Okay.
All those in
Those
favor?
in favor, thank you.
Tim Ilchi, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Trevor McDaniel.